hang back. They'll kill your family.
At the morning of the movie, we're shown the time 2048, where everything on the Earth had been destroyed, and the coffers to survive on the Earth had ended, and all the countries were fighting among themselves and trying to save themselves. Also, America is shown, who comes to an apartment with his family. Then the Ritchie family is given every kind of installation because the scientist had to do some trials on them. Along with their apartment, there were numerous other apartments in which other families also lived. Trials were also to be conducted on the people who were living there. Also, we are shown the head of the scientist who tells people that the world will end fully in the coming time, and to save ourselves we've to go to another Earth named Titan. It'll be, but before going there, we're experimenting on some people. After this trial, we will shoot our people there. If these people survive there, also we will take the remaining people to Titan and also give some injections for Rick's trial. A scientist injects him and tells Rick that to pass this trial, he'll have to suffer a lot of injections, which will beget changes in his body. Last night there was a party at Rick's house and his woman Abigail drank too important, and because of drinking Abigail got fever, and she wasn't feeling well. Rick takes her to his room after many days. All the families are called to do a trial on the pool, in which Merrick and his family were also there. In this trial, they had to hold their breath while staying in the water, but no bone could do this for long. Rick and a girl with him remained in the water. Both of them sit holding their breath for 40 twinkles. Also, the girl also comes out of the water. Now Rick was left alone in the water. He sits for a long time. Also, his heartbeat thresholds dwindling, due to which his head sticks out. He was taking notes on his device, and also someone comes out and everyone is clapping for Rick, because he'd spent a lot of time in the water. Also, after many days, a surgery is done on Rick. An expert surgeon takes care of Rick's body. Some changes are made, due to which his body becomes veritably strong, and when Rick comes home, Abigail's eyes open while sleeping at night and she sees that Rick wasn't with her at the club. She goes out to see Rick. She sees that Rick was feeling veritably hot. He was picking up a lot of ice and applying it on his body. Abigail also helps him and asks what's all this, to which Rick tells that the factory where he's being transferred has a lot of ice. It'll be veritably cold. And Abigail is veritably surprised to hear that she has experienced surgery to control the cold wave. Also, she puts her hand in the snow and incontinently takes it out, because it was veritably cold, and Rick does not watch about it. Now the camp had to face nitrogen gas and methane gas, because both these feasts were veritably much on Titan. Also, everyone was asked to hold their breath in water with methane gas, and on the other side everyone was asked to run after applying a mass of nitrogen gas. And it all sounded veritably tough. His head was taking note of everyone. Also, we see Rick, who goes to the restroom to take a bath. He notices that all his hair is falling out. He tells this to his partner. However, also he says that all this is the effect of those drugs which are being given to us. Also, they all see that a girl falls down and dies and blood is coming out of her mouth and nose, and all this is due to those drugs. And it happened because of the injections that were being given to them. Everyone was worried with the death of that girl because the drug was being given to everyone from there, which presumably had a response which meant that further people could also die in the night. Everyone was sitting at Rick's house and agitating. They were all upset about what would be to them also. Suddenly, one of Rick's musketeers starts getting veritably angry, and he indeed hits his woman. Rick catches him and explains that he shouldn't do this. Rick becomes silent on this. Rick understands that all this is the effect of those drugs. The coming day, a croaker comes to Rick's house and tells him that the girl who failed was formerly ill. There was some infection in her body, due to which he failed. You should not be upset, and nothing will be to anyone then. But Rico doesn't believe him, and the same night Rick starts puking in, which Rick also bleeds. Abigail gets worried seeing this when she, vomiting day when Rick was sitting in the pool holding his breath, he saw that his skin was coming off from his body, and this was shocking for him, because now numerous changes had taken place in his body. On the other hand, Abigail Rick's blood sample test. When she starts doing it, she finds out that some chemicals were fitted into Rick's body, which neither Rick nor Abigail knew about. The coming day, Rick's eyes is operated on and some similar changes do. When Rick comes home after the operation, he starts bleeding profusely. Seeing this, Abigail snappily takes him to the sanitarium, and when she meets the head again, she tells him that what's all this, on which the head tells commodity to Abigail. Also Abigail comes home, and she sees the man who was killing his woman that night. He had now come fully frenetic, and he also boggled his woman. Seeing all this, Abigail came veritably worried, and understood that the head was now cashing commodity from her. He was playing with the lives of all of them for the sake of trial. Also Abigail came home. Picking up Rick's laboratory card, she goes to the lab, where everyone's data was saved in a train. When Abigail opens the train, she finds the train of the girl who was dead. When Abigail reads her details, so he comes to know that she wasn't killed by any complaint but by the wrong trial of the scientist. On the other hand, the scientist and his head were sitting in a room where the director of NASA tells them in the meeting that you people have done wrong trials and some chemicals have been fitted into their body due to which anyone can die, and what is further, you have indeed made some people crazy. You have to stop all this snappily, else we may have to face a lot of problems. Hearing this, you'll also be shocked. He gets worried and comes to Rick's house the coming day. Rick's eyes were still not healed. He tells Rick and Abigail that we did the trials just to go to Titan, but we have a problem then. Everyone's DNA. There was a change and someone's body accepted the chemical and someone did not. Among them, Rick was the one person whose body accepted all the trials. Rick's body is veritably strong. We want that one of our people will be on Titan. Abigail gets veritably worried after hearing that Rick can prove to be the stylish for her. Also Rick's eyes are operated formally again, in which his eyes are now fine, and he can see indeed in the dark. Also another change starts taking place in his body. All his hair falls out and his skin also changes. He used to sit in water for hours, and there was another girl along with Rick, and all the other people on whom trials were done. Everyone was dead, only Rick and his friend were saved. Right now Rick was being kept in the lab. He did not come home. After a long time, when Rick's woman and his son go to meet him, they are surprised to see Rick. Because Rick no longer looked like a mortal being, he'd fully changed, neither he'd hair nor cognizance left, and his skin had also changed. He could no longer talk to them, because there were numerous changes in his body. Rick had come, he was just looking at Abigail. Now the head lets them go home. After coming home, Rick was resting. Also his friend comes to him who was with him in the lab, and she had killed her hubby in wrathfulness. Just there, but the army comes which had come to catch them. The dogfaces attack the girl and kill her, but seeing this, Rick gets angry and he kills all the dogfaces one by one, because he has a lot of powers. When Abigail finds out, she goes after Rick and finds Rick, but he can't talk, so he places his hand on Abigail's hand and tries to read her mind. It seems that now Rick has got the power to read minds. Also at Abigail's request, he hands himself over to the army, and the army puts him in a ventilator. Also the head gives an injection to Abigail, and says that give this injection to Rick so that he'll forget his history, and we will shoot him to Titan. Abigail has to go to give Rick the injection despite not wanting, because Rick could now lose his mind. So Abigail quietly injects him and leaves from there. She comes out and runs down from there with her friend. On the other hand, Rick had killed the dog faces. Actually, Abigail had not given Rick the head injection and had told Rick to get out of there and go home. Come, we will come back to our earlier life again. When Rick comes home after killing the dog faces and meets his woman and son, the dog faces come there and the head also comes there, and he tells Abigail that you explained to Rick, because he's no longer mortal. We had made him for Titan. It is veritably important for him to go there. He cannot stay on the ground much longer. Abby understands the matter and she talks to Rick. And she explains to him. On Abigail's persuasion, Rick goes with head and head. Sends him to Titan, also after Rick leaves. Abigail. Threshold's working in the same lab with her friend and keeps doing different trials. Also one night, Abigail, the son, tells him that, "Uncle, look how cute those stars are looking. My pater has gone there." On the other hand, Rick had reached Titor, and after coming then, he was living. He liked the terrain then. And it's then that he started watching this movie. Comes to an end.